Hello there, Star Wars friends. Welcome back to Flying Casual. This is our Casual Council, our 16th installment of Casual Council. I cannot believe it. It blows my mind thinking about that. And our council has grown, but we've got a smaller group tonight. Everyone else is out either saving or destroying the galaxy. I can't tell anymore. A lot of dark side users on the council. I'm not sure actually how they made it to the council because if I mean I don't know how they passed the entry level exam because this is a light side council, but we have a lot of Sith on this council. So something happened. I'm not sure what happened, but we got a lot of Sith out there destroying the galaxy. We can only do all that we can do to make right in the galaxy and fight that darkness with the light. But I'm still surrounded by Sith here at the council. I've got I've got Rob, Scotty, and Nettie with me, which I think all associate with the dark side. Am I wrong, guys?
Not wrong.
Not wrong. I mean, this is unfortunate that I am the only one holding the light in this moment. It's why our dark side apparel sells so much higher than our light side apparel. And I found that now that I need to just make more for the dark side, which is that's fine. That's fine. Guys, it's gonna be May. If you haven't realized, it's gonna be May. It's May 1st actually when we're recording this episode. So a few days from now, we are going to be enjoying May the 4th, Star Wars Day, and getting our first episode of The Bad Batch, apparently a 75-minute episode, which is pretty crazy. And then they drop down like 20 minutes. It's like, what are you doing? Can we spread out some of that love? But apparently not. So we don't know what's going on in the Bad Batch. It's going to be a topic of discussion here, some thoughts on what's to come. So if you listen to this episode and the Bad Batch has already happened, we're not that far behind. You're just listening to us in the past, or we're in the future. I'm not really sure, actually, at this point. It's too late, and I'm too intoxicated to make really any sense of that statement. But we are, guys, on this podcast, you guys know that I am a sucker for Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm a sucker for a sad story. So when you put those two things together, which apparently could be happening in the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series, nothing gets me more excited. Not that I'm a depressing guy, but I like to see people go through tough times and bounce back and overcome the darkness. And then I think that's what we're going to get with Obi-Wan. We talk about it a lot on the podcast. I'm not so sure we've talked about it a lot here on the council so much, probably because I talk about it so much. I'm like, you can't just talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's more in Star Wars, Michael, but it's going to be a huge hit for Disney here in the near future, hopefully. But Ned, you threw this topic out. Something that we've talked about briefly on the podcast about, Obi-Wan and this grief he's going to be going through. So this is on your mind. Obviously, you put it in our shared document here. What are you thinking about here with Obi-Wan and what he's going through on Tatooine?
Yeah, say, like you've mentioned, I know it's been a topic on some of the regular podcasts, and I think I was just listening to one of those, and it just kind of made me think about how I want to see that portrayed, and the recent conclusion for WandaVision, which no spoilers here or anything, but I mean, that entire show was about grief and a very, very good representation of it. So thinking about that, I think kind of got my expectations. I know it's completely different studios and everything, but got my expectations even higher for just how good emotionally and in terms of that grief this Kenobi show could be ultimately.
Yeah.
And I know I want to see that. I mean, I know it's set like 10 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So he's had some time to try and move on from that. But I mean, everything he's been through, I think he's still going to have some demons around there, and I just kind of want to see how he deals with it, and trying to stay, positive, because I think everybody on our group and our podcast and everything is the more positive side. But it also leads me to wonder, like, will fans have as much of a backlash as they did for like Luke? I'm going to bring up The Last Jedi again. I know that's going to shock everybody. I never talk about that movie. But Luke's entire arc in that movie, like, everybody gives him flack because he's depressed and he goes and isolates himself. But he's doing that out of grief, basically, because, I mean, it's grief that he failed his nephew and feels that he's lost his nephew. So like that portrayal of grief people didn't like, and I mean, I think that's part of the reason I love that movie is because of that arc and the way I can relate to it. So it kind of makes me worried that if that's what Kenobi focuses on, are people going to have that same reaction, that same backlash, or was that more because Luke held to a higher regard than Obi-Wan is to some people? It just makes me wonder. And like I've said before, I didn't read a lot of the EU stuff, so was it just EU Luke that kind of led to
Yeah.
that backlash? I think there's a lot of different ways to address that question there.
Yeah, I am so glad you brought it up, Nettie, because I thought, am I the only one that's a little worried about this? Because I find this concept and Luke going through what he went through is so fascinating. And Luke did what he did for a reason. It wasn't just, I give up on the galaxy. Like he really thought staying away was going to solve a problem, and he was going to sacrifice himself for the betterment of the galaxy. Was he misguided? Maybe, but you know what? So were the Jedi. So was, Obi-Wan. So was Yoda, and kind of doing what they were doing. So I have concerns because, like you said, Obi-Wan, he's a huge iconic Star Wars character, just like Luke Skywalker. Now, we ultimately know what happens with Obi-Wan, right? And his future is kind of sealed. Like we know what that path is. So maybe people will be a little more accepting. But like you said, with Luke Skywalker in the EU, there's all this expectation of this masterful being going out and slaying everybody and bringing balance to the taking his son out and kicking ass. Like there's all these expectations that these stories set up, and then they get this different character, though it may not even be a different character. There's so much story to be told about Luke Skywalker, and that's why I think it's so, all this hatred is so misguided, because you're looking at a different Luke Skywalker from the Luke Skywalker that's in your mind. This is an older Luke Skywalker. He built a temple. He went through some shit, and now he's processing that. And I don't think it's fair to say, he wasn't the epic Luke Skywalker one. Well, he was, and he dealt with some shit after that. And he, just like any human would be after going through trauma. And so that kind of frustrated me with some of that response to The Last Jedi. But you're right. And I think that's what worries me, is that story of Luke Skywalker is really the only time we've ever seen someone dealing with grief in Star Wars, right? Of these big characters that we know and love. I mean, right when Obi-Wan slashes down Anakin Skywalker and he's burning, like, I loved you, but like he moves on and he flies away. And there's no real, emotion there, in my opinion. I if I lost someone like that, I'd probably break it down for a couple months. Maybe I'm just too emotional of a guy and I shouldn't like Star Wars. I don't know. But Rob, is this, you are familiar with the EU, and you still appreciate that story with Luke Skywalker. So I mean, do you think fans like yourself are going to be accepting of an Obi-Wan that maybe isn't what they're used to seeing? Like, I understand that Obi-Wan said, we've been doing some training with laser swords. We're obviously going to get some laser sword action, but like, if we see a different side of an Obi-Wan, could that rattle some of the fans?
From my opinion, it won't rattle me, because as previously stated on many of the episodes that we've done together, I take everything in. We all do. We just love it all. There's no hate in our group. That's what makes our group so awesome, right?
Yeah.
So that being said, I want to roll it back to Kenobi is just excellent. He's always cared. Even every movie that you've ever seen, the books you've always seen, you've heard mindful. He's always been wise. Qui-Gon gave him multiple, ups for that. He said, after I'm gone, you're going to be a wiser Jedi than I ever would be.
Yeah.
And that right there says a lot, which also, there's so much I wrote down right now. So I don't know if we want to bring in Qui-Gon as yet, but I want to go back to a little fan thing that I saw about Solo 2, and I'm hoping we get that also with Kenobi, where there was a scene that they put in there as they acted out this first part of Solo 2, where there was almost teenager Luke Skywalker with Beru. and they were in the bar, the cantina together, and they kind of bumped into each other. So Luke bumped into Han through what they wrote. I always thought that was nice. And through Kenobi, they can show us that those kind of lost years of Luke and what life was for Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, and what their relationship was with Kenobi, because those other things, Kenobi gets socked, does he? Who knows?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And then I just want to throw in this little thing before we get to the rest. Do they include that Darth Maul scene from Rebels, or just leave it in Rebels and that's just not shown?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll throw it over there.
I personally would
Do it all.
It would be cool to see. I don't know if I feel like Darth Maul could steal the show. I love that it was unexpectedly in Rebels, but it was perfect. It was.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need to see them ever, clash laser swords ever again. I feel like now in my mind they've not worked out all their differences, but and I kind of talked about in the last podcast, but just like that compassion Obi-Wan showed, I don't think I could watch them fight again.
No, right, Scotty. Before you go, I just want to throw this in with that. So, do we get an episode where we find out, is Darth Maul in that episode where he finds out where he is, and then just nothing happens? That's the little thing I was just going to throw in there. So, hey, let's talk. That's what we do.
That'd be interesting. Scotty, what do you think?
Mike, man, what if it is 100% practical effects and it's Sam Witwer?
I mean, do you see? I know what you're doing. You're playing to my heartstrings, and you're saying you could take one of my favorite voice actors of all times and bring him into live action. It would be amazing, and my jaw would drop.
Further setting up his show with Kira and the Black Sun, or whatever the underground gangs, man. Sorry, Ray Park, sorry. Rip the Ray Park. But just do it, man. At this point, with the content that people are getting, they gotta dig into the stuff that these other fans want.
See, and that's why I think it needs to be I think that needs to be. I want to see that too. I think we need that to be something separate, so we can really, because we need to dig into Maul. We need to dig into him building his empire.
Then they say they're going to focus on Sith Lords, or there's some report going around that Acolyte is going to basically jumpstart the focus on the dark side.
I think that could be a good kind of, let's focus on their followers, and then it kind of bleeds into more stories about. I think that would be fantastic. I would get worried that we're already, I don't want to say revising history, but we're already now saying, oh, wait, Obi-Wan and Vader are going to have another confrontation. We've already done that with Luke Skywalker and Vader in the comics. It worked, I didn't necessarily need it. It worked for what it was, but we're kind of revising history, and we're if we would be adding in Maul and Obi-Wan too, I feel like it could take away from this ultimate confrontation, but also we're just revising some more history. Not that it's a bad thing to go back and add, stories, and kind of, if it works, it works. I don't know. I feel like this really needs to be Obi-Wan and his acceptance that he's lost his brother. Because I think there's going to be some hope in there. There's going to be what if and maybe he needs Qui-Gon to come and say, the dude is lost. You know what? I don't know, but I focus so much on the dark side of things and this grief, and I think it's going to be such a character study of Star Wars, because we've really never done this, and
it really can be.
It really can be, but what's really gonna bring it, back sometimes, I think, is gonna be the humor. If you read the mainline comics where they focus on Obi-Wan on Tatooine, he's pretty funny at times, and I think he kind of has
losing
to be
his mind.
Right? Look at Yoda in the prequels.
Yes.
Not a lot of joking around with Yoda. You could say something funny, and yet he would not play with you. And we go to the original trilogy. Dude's a little kooky. He's been alone for a while. Like, I feel like we could be getting that kind of Obi-Wan a little bit, but maybe even Qui-Gon. Like, if he's going to interact with Qui-Gon, which I think we all assume that Qui-Gon is going to be in this show, I feel like he has to be. Like, what are those interactions going to be like? Like, is he going to be kind of, because I think, you know, when I think of, you know, Luke Skywalker on Octu going through a lot of shit and processing, he's like, you know what? I'm so frustrated. I'm going to burn this freaking temple down. It's like, whoa, bro. Like, okay, chill out for a second. And then Yoda shows up and it's a comical moment. Like, through his kind of transferring to the netherworld of the Force, he's got a lot of humor in him now, more so than he did even when he met him on Dagobah. So I think that could bring some levity kind of just to what could be a very dark show. Because we already see it in the comic books, like Obi-Wan's pretty funny. Even when Owen Lars comes slamming on his door to scream at him, he's cracking jokes with him and offering him some snakes too. It's like, okay, like, let's go. Maybe we'll see a comedic Ewan McGregor. He can definitely do it, but he can also really get low with the best of them. So
give us a montage of his greatest hits, just kicking the shit out of like Asajj Ventress, like Vader, Maul, who else? Like all the Sith Lords he's had to face.
See, that's where you could do that. You could have flashbacks. You could have flashbacks of, you know, maybe what's taking place in the story is, you know, the 10 years post episode 3, Obi-Wan, he's kind of worked his shit out. Like he's with it. He knows what is, but then we do flashbacks to him fighting Anakin, to him fighting Maul, losing Satine. You can bring Sam Witwer in there and those quick moments, live action. I think that would be more effective than full scenes.
And we have no idea what it requires, the inner focus of the person, what they go through to cross to the other side.
Yeah.
Like him dealing internally with all these battles that he had to go through and accepting a certain point of view from each of those might be what Qui-Gon has to teach him in order to fully give in to the Force or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think you might see Obi-Wan just fighting the dark side a little bit. Like I you know, like,
a dark Obi-Wan clone, like the Yoda vision.
Yeah, bro. Like, I mean, think about all the people who've gone through the trials, kind of like that. Like, you know, we've never really seen Obi-Wan kind of go through these. He's just kind of been this tried and true trooper of a Jedi, and it's like, let's see him really be tested. You know, he always tends to do the right thing, but it's like, man, maybe there could be some temptation here. I don't know.
Inquisitors.
My brain is going.
He's had to have ran across something. There had to be a hunt.
Yep.
Because anytime Vader was that close to Obi-Wan, at least, there's no way he didn't go to Tatooine and not sense him when he sensed him on the Death Star in episode 4.
Yeah.
He said, I felt, what was it? Not word for word, but I felt this feeling, or I feel a feeling I haven't felt for a long time. Whatever it was. That's
Absolutely.
it right there. I just want to throw that in.
And I think you could bring in the Inquisitors, like, straight up. Like, I think they could, you know what? I kind of thought, you know, if we're not going to spend our entire time on Tatooine, Inquisitors show up, and Obi-Wan's like, I got to get the hell out of here. And it's kind of a manhunt at that point. I think it'd be sick. And the cool thing about the Inquisitors, you just kind of prompted my thoughts here, Rob. Like, I like the Inquisitors. They're starting to show that these, you know, even the dark side users, some of them have very specific skills. Like, I can never get the sisters right. I want to say it's the seventh sister, but like, she's very focused on, you know, she can really feel like empathy for people, like what they're feeling and understand what they're going. It would be really cool to see these, you know, these dark side users like sensing what Obi-Wan Kenobi is going through and offering temptation and stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's way too big of a show for. Maybe we're just literally gonna get Obi-Wan in a hut and he checks out Luke every once in a while. He has a fight with Owen and he fights Anakin. That may just be the end of it. But like, my mind,
Inquisitors so bad.
I think that would be a great way to bring Sith into live action television. I think it'd be a good introduction. Let's see how that goes. Nice. And then, maybe that's our introduction to the dark side that we're going to see focused on in the next 5 to 10 years or whatever. I think it could be incredible. Like, Scotty, you also, you know, have some familiarity with this EU and the history of Luke Skywalker. Well, the the history, the future of Luke Skywalker in the expanded universe, but I also appreciate, the sequel trilogy and what Luke went through. So how do you think people are going to respond to this? If we get a darker Obi-Wan, like you appreciated WandaVision, but there's a lot of people that thought the best part of WandaVision was the last 5 minutes of the fight scene.
I think it's going to be tough, but because the prequels are so loved now and we all pretty much collectively understand what Obi-Wan has gone through, I feel like if they just kind of write it, like there's no gap. There is a gap, but it's a lot smaller than the 30-year gap. We literally know nothing about what happened to Luke, really, between the two time periods.
Yep.
1 decade is a lot of time, but at the same time, it's not really. But he also, had that confrontation with Anakin and pretty much thought he killed him, or who knows what he thought, but now he's going to find out that he's alive, and there's so much they can do with it.
Yeah.
I actually just stumbled across the whole Satine scene where Maul doesn't want to kill Obi-Wan. He just wants him to hurt. And so that all those scenes could come back up, like visualizing the deaths of all the people he lost. Like he could go into like his own kind of like a Dagobah cave again.
Yeah.
Like he could see all kinds of weird stuff. Who knows? But I'm hyped for it. I was gonna ask you, what do you think if like say just for instance hypothetically we got 3 movies that were prequels and it was like 3'5" Anakin, 80 pounds soaking wet, a kid who can act, and they were like amazing trilogies about this kid growing up. And then they skip 20 years into the future and we get the exact same prequels with Hayden. Do you think people would have been like, not my Anakin? Like,
I mean, maybe.
That's just like, it's so tough to gauge this stuff. Like, it's got to just be good. It just has to be good.
It
Hashtag
does.
not my Anakin.
We've only had 5 different Anakins, and I think
not my Vader when they bring him back in the mask.
Yeah,
all the freaking James Earl Jones purists, like, my God. Oh, you people exist? I didn't know you existed. But
I didn't know that either. Yeah,
no, like, I think it's gonna happen, dude.
Stylistically, there's some things like I thought in Rogue One, like I love James Earl Jones, but like the voice did not work for Vader, and that like there's a point where you got to say this just stylistically is just not like. I love that you're dedicating to the original golden voice, but like it just didn't work for me. It kind of took me out of that moment. The cheesy lines aside, some of them, but I was just like, oh man, like, don't choke on your aspirations. Sometimes he says silly shit like that, and I kind of let it pass, but like I was like, oh man, I thought you could have done a little. If you're gonna have James Earl Jones in there, you could have done a little more work on the auto tune or whatever the hell they use. I'm not an audio expert, but so yeah, I don't know. Now,
I gotta say real quick, you just made me think of like nobody does James Earl Jones like James Earl Jones, and nobody does Orson Welles like Orson Welles. You cannot mess with that.
I mean, they've done it successfully in like Rebels, I think. So it's worked there. And also, Scotty, with you bringing up like, what if we went back and looked at a younger Anakin? Now, I don't want to go into too much speculation, but Matt Lanter has said, like exclusively with I think Entertainment Weekly, that you haven't seen the end of Anakin yet, and I could see him successfully voicing a younger Anakin if we were going to go back and do that. They've covered so much though, of a younger Anakin, so to speak, in the Clone Wars, but not where you're thinking, like really young. Could we pull it off? I think he could pull it off if we're going to do an animated series. But like maybe they're just
training.
Could I mean. Is that something
as a Padawan or something?
But is that something that people are going to want to see? Like we had a whole prequel trilogy dedicated to kind of, Anakin's kind of upbringing. It's like, what could we possibly give them?
Did he voice him in Clone Wars, and the Obi-Wan voice guy's still around and very popular? I mean,
Solo worked.
They got a younger for sure.
Solo.
Yeah.
So I mean that they did that before. I think that they can. I like the whole, you could either do between episode 1 and 2, or you could somewhere play in that. That's what I think Scotty's kind of getting at with that little time frame period. I would accept that. I don't think it would overtake anything, but I don't know if you would put that in this series.
Well, so for me, it's like it's got to make sense, right? So when they said we're doing an Obi-Wan Kenobi series, at first you can think, wait, really? We're going back and like, talking about this, but it makes sense because there's a lot that he's gone through. It can make for a really great story. I'm a little surprised that they're going to have the two confront each other. I think that's very risky. But it's something people are going to tune into. So it's got to be something that's going to really attract people. What about Anakin, at a younger period, would we be interested in? I don't know. But I mean, I'm going to watch any Star Wars you throw at me. So
That's what I'm most interested in, man, is how the hell are they going to pull that off?
Like, I don't know.
Geez,
I think it's a big risk. I really hope we're not just pandering at this point. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be the person who sits here and says, you are part of the problem in the divided Star Wars. No, but there are very specific choices that have been made that are very obvious pandering by Lucasfilm in the past year and a half. It's just so obvious. The tonal shift in some of the stuff they've done, it's just very obvious to me. So I don't want to get to a point where we're just pandering for the sake of having a bunch of cool laser swords going out and making a bunch of bright lights and we're going to attract attention. But it's like it has to make sense.
Yeah, save that for Old Republic.
Right. Yeah, that's what we expect, right? Like there's a lot of that. But these two, I mean, there's a lot of history, which can make things complicated. It has to make sense. There's a line in, oh God, I don't even remember what the line is. I have to go back and look. It just leads you to believe that maybe something did happen that, Vader is referencing when talking to Luke about a prior confrontation, or Obi-Wan used to think as you did that I was, that I could be saved. I think that was the line. Not that I could be saved.
Yeah.
But I used to think like you did. So when we're going to see that? So is he going to try to save him here? Right. But then is it just the same fight they had on Mustafar? Like how is this going to be different? How is it going to be unique?
Well, Obi-Wan wasn't really describing to him in that moment that he was saying like you were supposed to help us end it, not man, I just lost it. But what we were just talking about, that line. What was the line again?
Oh, like Obi-Wan used to think like you do.
Yeah, that he could bring him back. And then you were talking about the Mustafar fight, but on the Mustafar fight, he wasn't trying to bring him back. He was just saying like you weren't supposed to go down this road. So there is room, I think.
I feel like Obi-Wan took a foot off the gas pedal. He could have decapitated Anakin on the side of the bank. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he kind of left the guy hanging there. But I don't want it to be a rehash of just this epic fight again. And also something I'm like, okay, are we going to see some flashes of Anakin then? You know what I'm saying? Like, that could make things
like when the
interesting.
Ahsoka confrontation.
And that's my point there is like, but is it going to, we had that moment with Ahsoka. Is it going to take from that moment? I don't know.
Dude, so hear me out too, because their fight in the OG trilogy was not really a fight. Like Obi-Wan went in there to die. He went in there as a distraction. He was not pulling out all the stops, even if he had them. Like I don't think he was using them. And this fight that's going to happen, people rag on the prequel fight because of the windmills part where their blades are just going around, but it's because they train together and their minds are so synced, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But this fight won't be him. It won't be Obi-Wan and Anakin. Like Vader is a completely different fighting style. Yeah. They even showcase that in Rise of Skywalker after Ben gets the blue saber. He's a completely different person in the combat style. So, and the remake of the fight, like the fan remake, phenomenal. Yeah. I know we've talked about that before, but like, give me something like that. A force push, anything.
I want it to matter. I don't want it to just be a confrontation for the sake of having because they can easily make a series without doing it. You know what I'm saying? They can easily make a series of Vader, hunting Obi-Wan or just Luke, and they could just literally keep their story separate and never. He could just see him from afar and be like, "Oh my God, I haven't felt something like this since." And then the freaking scene cuts, and that's the end of the series. They could literally do that, and I would be fine with it. I don't even think it's necessary that they fight, but it just the way in which it was revealed, like, you know what I'm saying, like when they revealed all this was happening, like they told us that there's going to be an epic battle, and I was like, okay, you're pandering.
Yeah, they say a lot.
Point. I could do without it, but if they're going to do it, make it matter, make it unique. And that's going to be a challenge because so much has happened before and so much has happened after. Why do we need to see this? I always ask myself, why do I need to see this? If I don't think I need to see it, it's going to lose my interest. But if it matters and there's something there, it's like, oh my God, I trust that they can do that. It's just, oh boy, especially with the stuff that I've seen from the comic books and from a certain point of view stories, there's just a lot there. But it's what concerns me most is the Anakin or the Vader and Obi-Wan confrontation. It's risky.
I don't want to take over and like let Nettie get in here, but what if it is the first glimpse of like the turn? Like, what if their confrontation leads to Obi-Wan having that glimpse of Anakin talking to him or some weird thing, like Anakin trying to escape it?
He could. Yeah. Nettie, what do you think?
Yeah, see, I'm not sure. I think I'm definitely in the ballpark with you if I really don't think it's necessary in any way. And it feels like one of those things that, like, in order to make it happen, they're going to have to do a lot of weird maneuvering. Because I feel like if Vader shows up on Tatooine and realizes Obi-Wan's there, he's going to know something's up, that there's a reason Obi-Wan's there. And, like, I can't see Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine without very good reasoning.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he views his whole duty as looking over Luke. So it just seems like it could be kind of like you said, just a way to build in a fight more than a natural story towards it. But I mean, I'm sure these people are a lot more talented than I am, so I'm sure they could definitely find a way to do it. Doesn't mean I want it really, but and it also I feel like we have to be getting like flashbacks with Anakin because I can't imagine they would bring Hayden Christensen in just to walk around in the Vader suit and theoretically have somebody else do his voice.
100%. Absolutely.
Like, so that makes me excited at least to see kind of those flashbacks and what they can do with that. And I think Hayden deserves another chance. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say like I think he's the best actor in Star Wars or anything like that, but he was treated horribly by fans, and that's disgusting. And I'm glad that people seem to be receptive and positive about him coming back, and I'm glad he's able to see that. So I'm really glad they were able to do that part of it.
Yeah, you got to feel for him. Like the fact that what he's been through and what a lot of, Star Wars actors have been through, the fact that they put themselves out there, even coming to conventions, even just facing fans that way, that takes a lot of courage. And then saying, hey, you're actually going to reprise your role. We know, we unloaded a lot of shit on you, like it, not purposefully, but like, sorry about all that. That takes a lot of guts, to be honest. And that kind of shows the kind of person he is, saying like, you know what? I loved what I did. I loved the people that I worked with. And that was enough for me in my experience to come back and do this again and offer whatever take I can on it. And I think, like Flash, and you know what? I'm down to see kind of like the things that we know, like the confrontation on Mustafar, some of that flashbacks, but I'm also down for some just like other things that we've never seen, more background on Padme and the secret affair going on and stuff. Rob?
Just I wanted to throw in, this is one of the things I held off. Did him and Yoda have any contact during this time? And if they do have contact, through some way of talking. You know, it doesn't have to be a whole episode, but just those moments. That's another thing I thought about as well.
Yeah, I kind of wondered that too, because they both have different opinions on like the chosen one and stuff. But that conversation, they have conversations about it. But I think at that point, I think Obi-Wan's passed. But I mean, you got Qui-Gon in the netherworld of the Force where no one's ever been. He's like, is he our relay guy? Is he passing messages back and forth from Yoda and Qui-Gon saying, what the hell are you guys doing? I've seen the future. Y'all are freaking screwing this up. Like, but I don't know. In the books, like in the comics, he doesn't give Qui-Gon that, or he doesn't give Obi-Wan that much information on the future. Other than
the future is Abeloth.
Well, he pretty much just says like, you have a bright future. Like, so there's so much more out there for you.
There's one that
you have no idea. Yep. What's that?
I said the future is Abeloth.
Oh, Jesus.
Yep, you said it twice. You got to finish 2 drinks.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I don't think I can drink this much mango and rum.
I mean, we need 3 more. My birthday is the 5th of May. It's after Star Wars Day, so we need 3 more tonight.
Jesus.
Go on a roll, brother, man. Keep talking about the future.
No, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think they could. That would make it interesting, right? But I mean, the big reveal is going to be Qui-Gon. Like, he is his master. The relationship there is so much deeper. Like, there was a great relationship there. We saw a little bit of that in the prequel and Phantom Menace. You know, some butting of heads. You get a little bit of that in Master and Apprentice too. But like, after Qui-Gon's passing, just the admiration that he has for Obi-Wan and what he's gone through is heartbreaking. So I want Qui-Gon to say, man, you've been through so much, like, and I am here for you. Like, I'm here for you. Like, he essentially, I don't know if it's the Kevin Scott short, something, and from a certain point of view, Qui-Gon pretty much says, I learned how to present myself through the Force because of Obi-Wan. I learned an ability no one's ever learned before because Obi-Wan was lonely. Like, he loved him. And I want to see a different side of the Jedi here, because I talked about it in our discussions of Rebels, and I think Obi-Wan redefined what it meant to be a Jedi and the compassion he showed. And I think Qui-Gon was a big part of that. And I think he's going to learn a lot from Qui-Gon here in his time in isolation, because Qui-Gon's got a perspective that no one else has at this point. So I want that. I want a nice moment there with those guys. I think that would be great. We might not even need Yoda. We know he's on Dagobah, right? Like, hiding out. But it would make sense that they would have some way of communicating, right? Because it's like, when Obi-Wan shows up on Dagobah, it's not just like, holy shit, I haven't seen you in a couple decades. Like, it feels like maybe they've been communicating somehow. But we'll see. We'll definitely see. Nettie, you got any other thoughts on Obi-Wan? I mean, I totally understand your hesitation with this fight. It's what scares me the most, because everything else seems perfect, and I understand why they're doing it. The fight, I don't know. It'd make a little more sense if we're fighting Inquisitors, and maybe Vader just shows up and everybody's like, I'm getting the hell out of here. I don't know who this machine is. I don't know. But you got any other thoughts, like, on Obi-Wan?
Yes, I was just kind of touching back on Qui-Gon. I think it's the Ahsoka novel, because there's like little like interludes between each of the stories. I think there's one of those with Obi-Wan, like trying to do his training to communicate with Qui-Gon. And I think it's basically just like, you know, him meditating, and then like he finally like hears a voice for the first time and just says like, let go, or something like that. So I just think it'd be really cool, like, maybe arc that you could have, maybe not the main arc, but like an underlying arc for the series of just like him kind of, you know, talking occasionally with Qui-Gon, and then finally like the last episode, you just see like the Force Ghost appear for the first time. I think that could be really well done. If I think Liam Neeson said he'd be willing, or hinted that he was willing to, so I think that could be really well done.
Eddie chills. I love that. Maybe like, because in the comic books they kind of allude to that he's just like, Obi-Wan's just talking, and the only way you know he's talking to Qui-Gon is he'll end it with Master, like, yada yada yada, Master, and you're like, oh my god, okay, he's talking to Qui-Gon here. I love that. We don't hear anything from him. Wouldn't that be crazy? Or maybe we do hear his voice and they show him, but like to not hear him and he's just kind of speaking and you just feel Qui-Gon there, but then reveals himself towards the end of the series. Jesus criminy. I just, oh man, I don't know. How is he going to counsel? You know, I'm assuming Qui-Gon's going to be there when Obi-Wan learns about Anakin and him surviving. Wow, what is he going to tell him to do? You've got to try to save him. He's the chosen one. I mean, this is opening up a 3-hour discussion. I can already feel it. Can Qui-Gon see into the future that far where he still knows that, well, Anakin's the chosen one? Like, is he going to encourage him to try to save him? Is he going to say, you have to destroy him? Like, that's... What kind of perspective does he have now?
Did Qui-Gon foresee Luke turning Vader back to throw over? So that's why maybe he told him to be passive on Tatooine. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he from a certain point of view, Qui-Gon senses, you know, Obi-Wan's destruction and could tell him right before he goes off and dies, but he doesn't. So it's like how much does he see? You know, what can he say? It's gonna be. It's not going to be very clear. He's just going to lose.
Does he speak to him? Does he speak to him right before when he turns his eyes closed and puts his saber up? Does he speak with him at that moment? That would be really freaky.
Rob, there's a really sad, from a certain point of view, story you got to read. It is the end moments of Obi-Wan and what he's thinking about, and it is depressing, and I love it. He sees his entire life essentially flash before him. It's crazy. It is crazy. I can't remember if Qui-Gon says anything to him in that moment, but it's a great story. Nettie, do you remember what that's called? I don't remember what that's called.
Is that one Time of Death?
Time of Death.
Yeah.
Yes. That story blew my mind.
I think there's a line in there too, isn't there, that like Obi-Wan's like, you didn't tell me it was gonna still hold or something like that. It's like Qui-Gon or like I don't remember if Qui-Gon says anything to him, but you can definitely kind of tell that they've talked about you know, that becoming one with the Force. So
you never told me it was gonna like end like this or whatever he said. Oh my God, like that it would oh my so they're not. I mean, how much can you prepare someone for that? Like, will they ever be prepared for it? I don't know, but I mean, this is gonna be crazy. This is why I'm saying this is why we need this story, because it's amazing, and it would be great to just be able to see, you know, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan have these moments and just, oh my God, I'm so ready for it, but a little worried about that fight scene. Any other thoughts about the Obi-Wan series?
Oh no, if anyone has other thoughts about that.
I won't stop talking about it, so we probably should.
Oh, no, I think it's great. I mean, if you want to move on, that's great. If you want to get into where maybe...
I was going to tangent off on just a small thing because you brought up Kevin Scott.
Yeah.
And I feel like these the writers and everything who are in High Republic, they're getting crapped on because of that stuff, and people are ignoring like the other stuff they're doing. So Kevin Scott is doing the Vader, the new run, 2020, I guess is what you would look up. And I won't get too spoilery, but the first episode that comes out, like that came out forever ago, it starts out right after their confrontation on Cloud City, and Luke gets away. It's the first time Vader knows he's Luke Skywalker. He has a droid team up with him, and Vader's always got droids. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Like, he's always got droids working with him ever since he was a little kid. He's always been into droids. Same thing for Anakin. So they eventually find out it's Tatooine. They go to Tatooine. They find the Lars homestead. They go downstairs. They're walking through the room that was Luke's, and he's having all these flashbacks of his own place. And at the same time, the droid is like, oh, wow, whoever lived here, you know, must have really cared for his droids. Look at this. He must have been very mechanically inclined for all the tools, and he had like the oil vat and everything. And then, you know, the episode or the issue that just came out, I don't know if you guys saw that. It's pretty spoilery, where Vader has gone to. I don't know. You can kind of cut this out, I suppose, but it's on the covers. We've talked about it. He's going to Exegol.
Yeah.
And so now on Exegol, we've found out more about Palpatine's plan. and it all just comes full circle, and it's like right in Vader's face again, and you're just like, dang, like that goes all the way back to the first issue, and like I don't know, Vader goes through it, man. He goes through it all the time, every day.
Yeah, this could be a story about, you know, we've seen so much especially in the comics, and there's not a ton of people that read those stories, but like it's been a process for him. Like there's a lot of regret you can see throughout these stories of him coming to terms with what's happened, but also a lot of denial. Like a lot of denial from Vader. I still, you know, I'm haven't read this last issue of the new Vader line yet, but I still do not believe that he realizes he killed Padme. I think he still believes that there's something else is up. Like at this point, when so many issues, I'm like, it's going to hit him here. And it doesn't seem like it has. So you could still see a lot of that in a Vader in this timeline. This could be just as much, you know, Vader processing all of this and the deception of the, like, are we going to see the Emperor? Like, is this going to be an equal, like, Obi-Wan Vader kind of story here? Like, I don't know. That could make things interesting.
So what you're saying, you know, so what you're saying is that in Vader's mind, he did not cause Padme's sadness, or she was manipulated by Obi-Wan to turn against him or something.
So he definitely blames Obi-Wan for a lot, but there's just a lot. It's so strange because it really shows that there's a, you know, Anakin's, as much as you want to say he's still in there, there's a lot of just denial that he had any wrongdoing in anything. It's odd to me.
He was almost
choked
like
her out.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. It's almost like he was convinced that no matter what he did, he could bring her back. Like it didn't matter. Like he's like, oh, I can't be to blame because I'm going to save your life.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I saw the future. Like you don't understand. It's only me. But someone else screwed that up for him and took it all from him. And that's, we could see some of that playing out in the series. I think that'd be really interesting. I would love to see Hayden Christensen kind of go off and just like show us,
dude. Yes.
Who Vader is. We haven't tapped really into Vader. Vader, as much as Vader is a huge presence in Star Wars, in the original trilogy, he's not that present. So it would be nice to have a little more time with him, even maybe in that meditation chamber. I don't know. I think that's where you could see a Hayden Christensen helmet off Vader. You know, not just Anakin flashbacks. We could see him in the flesh. I think that'd be awesome. You know, even if it's just some heavy breathing and he's not like having a conversation, it could still be cool. But I don't know. It's just, and I love what you're saying. I don't understand why people give these stories issues, because I mean, I don't, you know, not everyone comes to Star Wars for the same reason, but when these small 6-page stories captivate me and I'm blown away, I'm like, what? I didn't know I needed a story there at the end of Obi-Wan's time, but you just laid it out for me in 8 pages and you blew my socks off, more so than, you know, half of the Star Wars movies could in a tiny little fraction of a moment in Star Wars history. I love when they can do that. I don't know how people find issues with that. They just don't think it's necessary. Well, I'm sorry. I don't think Obi-Wan and Darth Vader having a confrontation again is necessary, but people want to see it. So it's like, I would rather tap into the psyche and what's going through on the inside, things that we don't really get a lot in the movies. They don't have time to flesh that stuff out. That's what I want to see in Star Wars. Yeah, Rob.
Dude, Scotty just made me think about this. That, again, I have to bring reference back to Star Wars Galaxy. Droid engineer is a profession. So who made that game made that very clear that is an actual thing. When you talked about, like, when you were talking about the droids and always having droids around and doing stuff, just saying.
Dude, when
y'all, man, that was a good spot, y'all. Loved it.
When they remake KOTOR, if you don't think I'm gonna have a Mr. Bones 2.0, you're out of your mind.
Oh yeah.
Well, that droid that he has with him when he's searching for Luke, well, he's searching
awesome.
Demolish whoever made Luke a weakling or whatever his mission was. It totally diverted from where it was supposed to go, and now it's a search for Padme. Or am I mixing up the main line and the? I can't remember at this point. Too much Star Wars hate. God.
He's
The
back on being
droid.
mad at. Oh, sorry. He's back on being mad at Palpatine because Palpatine tried to kill him with Oshi.
Oh
or
yeah,
Ochi.
OG. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. There's so much. There's so much there, and I so much that I don't think we've seen. But that droid offers a lot of humor in that entire this new Darth Vader series, which is great.
I'm just starting to go back through it.
It's fantastic. The dude's really funny, and we see that in a lot of Star Wars. The droids, I mean, look at C-3PO. They offer humor. It's like, okay, well, who's gonna bring the humor in the Obi-Wan series? We gotta have a little bit of it. That's why I'm just like, I feel like it has to be Obi-Wan. Like I don't know. I don't remember Obi-Wan having any droids on Tatooine. So we're not going to have, many interactions with droids. So who's going to bring that humor?
Is Dr. Aphra still around? She knows who Vader is.
That would be crazy. I don't know.
All these castings, like they're casting. Yeah, let's go, Rob. Do it.
I'm just calling. Just keep going, brother. Keep going, man. You're killing it. Go.
I love the comic with Aphra and him, dude. Like she's one of the few people to like talk shit to him.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, well, I need this chick, so I can't really do anything about it. Yep. She's too good at what she does. She's kind of better than a droid.
No, yeah. I don't see that would. I mean, if they're gonna do it and introduce her, then she better be getting her own series. I think if you're gonna introduce her in the show, that she has to.
Correct me if I'm wrong, man. I'm hearing all kinds of stuff, but maybe they're doing that already too.
You're in the dark west. Scotty is
What's
in
that
the
girl's
dark.
name?
All in, brother.
Erskine. I don't know. They just casted some girl in Obi-Wan separate from from all the other castings.
Yeah.
So that's what's got everybody going down that rabbit hole.
See, I haven't gone through the casting too. I mean, we have a little bit here, but I just get so caught up though in the story that I want to see, which is crazy. Maya Erskine. I probably butchered that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so who knows, man? But if you're gonna do it, you got to give her her own show, because that's a character who has been extremely successful. You don't see it too often, especially not in Star Wars, because they tend to make comic books about very prominent characters. That's one that's just kind of not blown up, but been very successful, been a new creation out of a comic series and been successful and is still successful, getting novels and stuff now. Like that's awesome. So if they're gonna introduce her, she has to get her own show. You can't just
3 days.
You can't just talk about it there and then like we never get a show with her. I think she's deserving of one. That could be a fun, good time. Like
Indiana
kind of a
Jones.
more adulty humor. Almost like the cruise and Mandalorian. I freaking loved those episodes when they were bringing the crew. I loved those. I thought they were kind of raunchy, kind of adulty. I thought that was great, and that's what that series could be with the killer droids, and I think that'd be great. 000.
Steven Spielberg to do a National Treasure style show with Aphra.
But it's gonna have to be a little darker. If we're gonna have 000 and what's his face? I can't remember what his name is. I got the Black Series. I can't remember what the astromech is. Those dudes are vicious. I mean, 000's got knives for fingers. Like, there's gonna be some gore. That could be kind of your introduction to a gore at your side of Star
coded
Wars.
Disney Plus section.
It could be.
That being said, it kind of just fits in also with like the Bad Batch as well, because what you were just talking about a second ago, Michael, was that episode really made you happy. That episode had that as well too. It kind of did that. And do you start introducing that with the Bad Batch, because the Bad Batch were kind of hit people. They had duties they had to do. Yep. Who did they take out to give themselves a name? Because we saw Han Solo. We know what Han Solo did. We know what mostly everybody has done in Star Wars, the galaxy, anything, EU, canon, it all leads to what have you done? Yeah. And they have done something. So that would be a nice way to introduce a little dark, just throwing that in there. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And let's transition to that talking point. we've got so much to talk about, but like I told you guys, if we're going to talk about Obi-Wan, like it's going to dominate my thoughts and the words that come out of my mouth hole. It's going to dominate the conversation. But let's talk about the Bad Batch, guys. If there's 3 days, I don't know what to expect. You know, I didn't necessarily I didn't think the Bad Batch were fine. It wasn't my favorite episodes, you know, of Clone Wars. It was okay, but to me, they're kind of just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Star Wars, which is fine. I freaking love them, but it's like it wasn't, you know. When I heard they got a show,
No lie detected.
I mean, when I saw the second trailer, okay, I'm here for it. I trust they got a good track record with animation. You know, I remember walking out of the Clone Wars movie in 2008 and be like, what the hell did I just see? I thought I was never going to watch Star Wars ever again because it was garbage. But little did I know, like, boy, you just had to stick with it. And they have a good track record with animation now. So I'm trusting that it's going to matter. Like, once again, why does this matter? Why are we learning? Is it just, you know, to keep Disney Plus content going? Okay, but like, why are these guys going to matter? What decisions, like Rob said, are they going to make? Like, they're known for this, you know, whatever they've done to be this, you know, ultra mega team, these killers. Like, what choices are they now going to make that it's going to matter? I don't know. Nettie, is there anything that you're looking forward to in this series? I mean, you got Raphael, Hunter, Tech, big guy, Haas. What do we call him? Wrecker.
Yeah.
Wrecker.
Crosshair,
what do you
I
say?
think is the other one then.
Crosshair. Yeah. And Echo, which.
Yep. No, Echo.
Jury's still out on Echo. Okay.
Dude, if that guy's poster, what's his name, Wrecker? If his eyes aren't the most crossed they've ever been in that poster, I'm gonna have issues, bro. He has such cross eyes.
He should be Crosshair. But I mean, the jury's still out on Echo. He could betray them all and break them all up. But Daddy, what are you looking forward to most about this show? If anything, maybe you're not watching. Maybe it's the first time Nettie says, you know what? I'll pass.
I definitely plan on watching it. Being honest, it's not something, you know, I'm at the edge of my seat waiting for. When they announced they were making it, I was kind of like, that seems like a weird thing to go next. That, you know, like a 3-episode arc, 4-episode arc of the final season, and now we're giving them our own show. It seemed kind of weird to me.
Yep.
I will say that second trailer definitely got me a lot more interested than I was initially. And I mean, sometimes the best stuff can be what you're not too excited for because you have no expectations. And
that's right.
I'm kind of looking forward to going into it like that. Do we know how many episodes it's supposed to be? Have they said anything like that? Or
I think it's going to be a lot. I'm not sure though.
See if I can
but first 2 episodes I think are like 75 minutes for the first one and then an hour for the second. And I want to say, and this is all maybe Kessel Run Transmissions, who's been pretty on top.
Gotta watch out with that. Watch out.
I mean, these guys have been pretty on top of the Bad Batch stuff. So as far as speculation goes, this is the most accurate it could be. But if what they're saying is true and it's like 75 minutes, 60 minutes, and we get the first 2 episodes together, that's a legit movie, dude.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be longer. Yeah, and I think it's everything after Order 66. So like minutes after, and just what they were tasked to do, or maybe they weren't even affected by it, and then just all the other people around them start going crazy. Who knows? But I think it picks up right after.
Yeah, I feel like you got to get a little more on these guys. Like you said, like, and just like we're talking about with if the Bad Batch can get an entire series, give Afra a series.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Maybe she just has a cameo somewhere. She has to get a series if the Bad Batch are getting a series. So I don't know. Like it could.
Yeah.
Are we gonna go 20 episodes here and get multiple seasons? I don't see this going that long. But I love what you said, Nettie. I love that you said sometimes the things that you're least expecting to really to hit you, it often does, because you're not coming in with expectations, and I love that. And I think I myself need to do that with more stuff, and I think us as fans need to do that as more stuff. If they feel like there's a reason to make an entire series dedicated to these guys, cool. I guess we're going to learn something really interesting. But keep going, Eddie. I think we cut you off there.
So yeah, I think that was most of what I had. I did just find Wikipedia claims the fourth season will consist of at least 14 episodes.
Jesus.
So, if you want to trust Wikipedia.
Yeah, you beat me to it.
So they have to get down to like 20 minutes after the first couple episodes, because there's no way they're doing long episodes for 14. Jesus.
Yeah, that would be my expectation. Wow. And like you kind of just said, I don't know if they have any plans of making this like a multiple season show. I kind of feel like it might be kind of a good just one season, but
I agree with that.
I don't know what they're going to be doing here.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about shows that do this, where like the first episode is 70 damn minutes, and then like what the rest are 29, and you're just like,
it's disappointing for sure. But I feel like to capture an audience at all, there has to be a little more in the beginning, and then if you've done a good job of hooking them, they'll watch the remaining 20-minute episodes. They'll be disappointed and they'll want more, hopefully, or they'll say this is garbage and not. But
I mean, it's just like The Mandalorian. Right?
Yeah.
Walk in, bar scene, door closes, we're hooked.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I feel like with these guys, we're gonna have to get a little more about them. Like, why do we care? Because I'm not invested enough of these guys to just like write post Order 66. What are these guys doing? I'm like, they're gonna have to go back in time a little bit, I think, and kind of lead up to that, because we don't really know much about them other than there's these dudes who get along well, have cool powers, or abilities, I should say, not powers. So I don't know if I'm invested enough. I think I need more. I think I probably do need a couple episodes prior to Order 66 to say, why does it matter that they survive? Yeah, Rob.
I just want to why does it matter? I love that you ended that. Why does it matter that they survived? Because maybe that was what Palpatine was playing with. Maybe they put something in them that made them more skilled. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like the game Outriders, how that storm kind of changed them. Maybe there's a little change. Maybe there's a little. We've always talked about Han Solo always being force sensitive, but just not over. So I just want to throw that in there, man, because you just dropped it right there, bro.
Well, I saw people speculating that Hunter or somebody was force sensitive, and I'm like, guys, I mean, come on. Maybe I think.
I mean, he's cloning.
If that's the case, then Omega is probably the perfected version of whatever these failed attempts have been, and that is something that they have in common, the Clone 99 batch and her. And there's some camaraderie there of like, we are family, we are whatever. It's going to be, I think that could be a big thing at the end. In the beginning, they find her, it's just, hey, I'm going to help people out. Like I want to get off this planet. Like, let's go, fight evil or whatever. And then they find out, wow, we have this shared common thing.
What if she's mother? What if she's mother? Like, they need two sides of DNA to create, right? So if Boba Fett is the DNA strain they use for the male side of things, what if she's just a version of the female side of the clones?
It could. It definitely could. Yeah. I think it's cool that we're seeing that there is the potential that there's maybe these, if we're going to be talking, genders, or identity, that there's a female, creation of some sort, and that there's the potential that Omega is the end, and this is what we've been planning this entire, like, this is the killer, this is the prime whatever create. Like, I think that's kind of cool, and that there could be, there were plans for more. I don't know.
They make her look deity like. She almost looks like a god.
She could wreck everybody. It definitely could. I mean, maybe she could be some, force sensitive somehow. I don't know. That would make things really interesting. God, I
Grogu's
don't even know
dyad.
how to speculate on this show. to
That's
be
crazy
honest.
what we just did though. Like I gotta say the whole Omega thing adding in like right there and then just that. I already typed it right there. Only on flying casual. Only on
Well,
flying
Y'all heard it here
casual.
first.
But it's like from there, to me, it seems like these guys have to go their own separate way for a bit. I feel like it's got to get complicated that we're going to break up or there's going to be some sort of like someone's going to turn. I feel like you can do that because like I said, I don't really have a vested. Any of these guys could turn on their friends and I'd be like, wow, that's kind of interesting. I wouldn't be
could
like,
be like
oh my
Jumanji.
God, like Crosshair turned on these guys. This is bullshit. Like I'm not going to have that kind of reaction because I think it would make it more interesting.
Could be Jumanji. Could be like Jumanji. The latest
The
one
Rock
had 5.
shows up, or are we talking about the
Yo,
original?
here's
Jumanji?
another one, and I'm gonna
No,
lose
the
it.
newer one. The newer one where they had 5, where maybe they're incompatible in some things, but together that's what makes them the Bad Batch.
Yeah, I mean, it totally could. I feel like one of them maybe a little more loyal to the Empire than to the Empire, to the Republic, and maybe taking some orders from somewhere else. Could be Echo. I still don't trust Echo. I feel terrible about that, but like, it just didn't seem all there at the end.
Okay. Fennec Fox is in this show, correct?
I would. I don't know.
She's in the trailer. They show a helmet. It's her damn helmet. It's got to be her.
Okay. Fennec Shan?
Yeah, the Fennec Fox, the assassin that's on Tatooine, the Asian.
Is her name
Ming
Fox?
She's the Fennec. I'm
I
pretty
thought it was
sure.
Fennec Shan.
Just
Am
go
I
with
making
it.
that up?
Whatever.
Holly isn't
Anyway,
here to
Fennec
check us
Fox,
out
yeah,
and
thing,
stuff
but
like
it is
that. You know,
Fennec
she
Shan.
usually
Isn't
does
that like her
stuff.
assassin thing or whatever? I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, so the one from
um,
Mandalorian. Yeah, she's in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fennec.
she's in the trailer. So why is she wanted by the Bounty Hunter Guild so much so that she's off grid on Tatooine? Who did she betray or help or I don't know. A lot of people are like, this show, like you said, has to have significance,
Yeah.
or they're not gonna just put it in the timeline just for fanfare. So do they help Grogu? Like, is that where they're going with this?
I
Is
think
Fennec Fox or Fennec Shan part of that?
I think there's potential for Fennec Shan. I mean, I think you'd even see Boba Fett in this show, to be honest, because I think there's the potential of showing them maybe as adversaries first, and then
But isn't he
through.
crawling out of the? He's crawling out of that. Does he have a way off Tatooine, or do we think he's been there the whole time?
What do you mean, Boba Fett?
Oh wait,
Boba Fett's
yeah,
not
you're
in the
saying
Star
never
Wars
mind.
at this
This is
point.
like, wow.
I think this could set up their relationship, right? I don't think the book of Boba Fett's going to do that. Well, maybe, but I think this is an opportunity. We know she's in it for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think she's that great of a person in this show. I think she's probably pretty shitty. I think she maybe even have been pulled in by the Empire to find these guys. I think she could have been one of them. And maybe Boba shows up, right? Like it says, not on my watch. And they have a fight, and then they become best buds or something. Go have a beer at the cantina together, or whatever they call it there at the cantina. I think that'd be interesting, though. It's cool that we know she's in there. I'm fascinated about Saw Gerrera. I think that's awesome that Saw Gerrera is in the show. It makes so much sense. Once again, it's one of those things. You could pull any Star Wars character into the show at this point. You'd be like, oh, that's cool. Saw Gerrera makes sense. Saw Gerrera has gone through some shit, and Saw Gerrera can talk to these guys and say, you think you've seen anything? Boy, I've seen this coming. I've seen this all along. Like, this is what I am fighting my entire life, and you guys are part of the problem. Now, what are you going to do about it? Like, it makes so much sense to have him in the show. I can't believe none of us thought about that when this was announced. It's just, what a perfect placement of a character in a moment to give these guys some freaking, perspective on where the galaxy is. These guys don't give a shit about where they're doing a job for the Republic. They probably have no idea what the real world, so to speak, is. So I think they're going to have some adjustment to do. And I think Saul's going to put lay some perspective on them. And I think kind of getting some separation. Maybe some of them decide. Maybe Hunter goes off. That there's a shot of him riding his speeder out. Just pulls a Leonardo and just says, "Screw it, I'm gonna go do some freaking shit on my own." And then Raphael or Wrecker is probably gonna have to run the whole damn crew himself. Let's be honest. So, God,
turns into a Ronin type character. His eyes are all
seriously.
fixed.
Seriously, like, so I don't know. I think that stuff's some of the most interesting, the stuff that we're gonna see, and that those moments I think could make us care about these guys. Right now, I really don't care about them. Like, 4 out of 5 of them could turn, and I probably wouldn't bat an eye. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But like, you're gonna introduce them to Saul. Saul's gonna lay the smackdown on them and tell them what the hell is going on, like what they need to be, what they need to do to be, individuals to be better than what they were a part of. Like, let's go. I am so down for that. He could be a huge part of the show. Nettie, I mean, what are you expecting from this? I mean, is Saul going to dominate this show? I mean, could Saul be back in the good graces of everybody? I don't know.
Does that mean Forrest Whitaker comes back?
That'd be cool. He's probably down.
I know Forrest Whitaker. I think he did it for Fallen Order and Rebels, so
yeah.
I mean, he's not above voice acting.
He's down.
I definitely glad that you brought Saw up too, because that kind of ties back into our first discussion. Like, we kind of talked about Luke and Kenobi maybe dealing with grief and kind of that, depression kind of sense. I think Saw could be a really good way to look at grief, like how much it can just drive you insane, basically. Because by the time of Rogue One and like Rebel Rising, that the last book club, he's kind of completely lost it and doesn't realize like what he's doing. And it's been a while since I watched his Clone Wars arc, but I think you can kind of see some of that. Yeah. But back then it kind of seemed more like I'm a cocky, like brash kid that's all that in a bag of chips attitude.
Yeah.
More so than I don't care who dies as long as we take them down with us.
Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe we can see some of that transition here in the Bad Batch. And I mean, I think Fallen Order's 5 years after Order 66? Even in that, Saw it doesn't seem as drastic as he is by the time of like Rebel Rising and Rogue One. So I think it's definitely this is going to fill in some more of that gaps, I think. And if nothing else, maybe we'll find out where he got his Bo Gullet from.
Seriously, like, we see a Bor Gullet in training, like it's like a younger, thinner Bor Gullet, not as finely tuned. He's just like zapping people's minds. We got to get this down pat, boss. I can't just be killing people here. So I think that'd be great, and I love what you're saying, dude. That just like, could this? How tragic to see like. The last almost maybe even hopeful kind of Saw Gerrera, it's kind of sad because we know his future, we know where it lies, and we know what he becomes, but like maybe not even hopeful, but like you said, and Jedi and Fallen Order, I mean, you can sense it a little bit. People around are just like, dude, the Saw guy is kind of So maybe just, this is the final moment that we'll get with Saul to say, man, there was a lot of hope for you. You could have done a lot of good, and you have, but like, we know, boy, it's tragic, and we know what your future lies. But man, there's nothing you could do about it. And that's what makes it so tragic. I love that you brought that up, Nate. I'm pumped for that so much more. Don't really care about much else going on, but like that, I am here for because I can relate to that. Yeah, Rob.
All I gotta say is, as long as they don't make any of that backstory like the movie Ghost Dog with him, I'm cool.
Ghost Dog. Now you have to explain what Ghost Dog is to me. I think I just know
you can't explain Ghost Dog.
Yes, Scotty, I knew Scotty would know that.
Like a Dog's Promise. I think I know that one. What's a Ghost Dog?
Bro, he's a superhero. You need to look this up. Doesn't he have a sword, Rob? He's a samurai sword.
Oh yeah.
Hey, have you ever seen Blind Fury?
No, I've not seen that.
Oh my God, that's another good one.
Just the Ghost.
Forrest Whitaker is a blind guy, right? Or no, in the movie Ghost Dog.
Oh, Ghost Dog. No, I don't know. Because he sees that dog. That's like the first thing he says. He's like, "Is that your dog?" It's like he sees the dog, right?
It's a classic.
Oh, dude.
You gotta
So, so just to clarify, nothing like A Dog's Promise. Nothing is not.
No,
that movie.
it's
Nettie, you got
very.
the
There's
Wikipedia,
no
Nettie?
talking. That's there's no talking. He doesn't talk at all. It's so bad.
I don't have the Wikipedia. I do have the IMDb, and I just wanna read the
Please.
synopsis.
Oh,
An African American mafia hitman who models himself after the samurai of old finds himself targeted for death by the mob.
It's
I
amazing.
kind of want to watch this now.
Wow.
It's
But
amazing,
what
bro.
You
does
just
the
started a
dog have
podcast,
anything
Mike.
to do with it? What is it? Is he just? Is that?
Dude.
Is there an actual dog, or is it just the title of the
It's
movie?
just his name. Yeah.
His
That's just
name
what
is
his
Dog.
He's a myth in the neighborhood.
Okay. See, I thought we were
Yeah.
talking about like Homeward Bound or some shit like that. Talking
No,
about
no,
an
No,
assassin.
it's
Okay.
classic.
Much different.
it's okay, but there's some funny. There's some moments. Let's say that.
Well, I'm gonna have to check that out. I mean, is that what we're gonna get in this movie? Like
No. I mean,
Ghost
that's
Dog
what I'm saying.
coming out of retirement?
That's what I'm saying. Like, there has to be more than a struggle. It can't be like Ghost Dog, of course. It has to have a struggle. There has to be a reason behind that struggle. But that to me right there spells its own series, its own like.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't think that you could put it in the Bad Batch. There has to be something. If they're giving us, and that's what Disney has been doing. They've been giving us a lot of the content. Eventually, we will get that content. I feel with Saw.
Yeah. I think it's a smart move. You don't need Ahsoka showing up and leading these guys. Like I'm just like I don't think that's necessary. You don't need Obi-Wan finding them, and it's just that's not necessary. I think Saul is a great candidate to just meet these guys, give them a little perspective. Maybe they'll run around with him. Maybe some will join him for a bit. I don't know. Maybe they become part of the Partisans. I don't freaking know. That's just crazy. I don't even know what else is speculated. Like Scotty,
I hate not knowing. I hate not
too.
knowing. There's
Me
literally like nothing out there. I would know. I look for it. Like,
Scotty, you guys listening, Scotty is in the depths of
nothing.
the internet,
There's nothing.
scraping, just making sure we don't miss anything out there from east
he
to
does
west
it.
on the internet. He's getting it all.
But also like the animated stuff, like I'm just gonna say it now, man. If things like Mace Windu and Who Saved Grogu, like if they reveal it in a cartoon, I'm not gonna be hyped. I'm sorry. I'm just not gonna be hyped. I was hyped for the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars, but like none of the other season. Like I watched them, sure, but I don't know.
We raised
The
that question.
hype
though.
and the passion.
but
That
see,
question
live
about
action.
who was the clan protecting Grogu? Why were they doing that? Why were they so dedicated to giving their life? It's almost like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, since we were talking about that, I think, in the pre-show. You want to bring that up? I mean, you had the Knights. The Knights protected the Grail. Okay, so if this became the Grail, what's all that about? Man, they should just sign
well, yeah,
all
what
of
if
us
those
to really
people in the
write their
beginning
product.
were-
I think.
guys, I don't think we're going to think about Grogu for another 5 years. I think. I don't think we're gonna. But here's the thing. I'm only on the Rebels kick because we just talked about it on the podcast, and it's one of the greatest series ever.
Reach.
That may be a stretch of ever, but like Star Wars, it
Oh, it's
probably
not
is
that
the
much of a
greatest
stretch.
series. But like, look what they did with my favorite moment. I just defined it as the podcast's favorite moment, but my favorite moment with the Maul and Obi-Wan final confrontation, like that was so unexpected and so graceful, and it's just like Luke said on the podcast, it was kind of a diversion from where we're going in the story, but like, boy, did that have an impact on the Star Wars community. And I mean, Star Wars for the rest of its existence, like that is one of the defining moments. And they did it in a show that didn't really have anything to do with it. And it was animated. So if they can do that, freaking Lucasfilm can do anything. But you're right. There's some people that'll be disappointed if they don't get, some big reveals on the big screen and stuff. I totally get it. But I feel like we have to kind of accept that, like, this is the future now, and a lot of it is going to be animated. Certain things.
I'm not a purist. Like I said, Rebels. Like I'm not joking. Rebels to me, beginning to end, best time period, best overall arc, best.
Yeah, absolutely. Do
we get Do we get a young Kanan Jarrus fleeing Coruscant? He was like the last Padawan, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I
Now
don't
that
know.
would just steer into Nettie's whole discussion about was Palpatine looking
Just
for
enough to make
kids. And if
everybody
we
cry.
do that, we're going to probably go another hour.
Here's the thing though about canon. I don't know if that's necessarily something we'll see because, and this is just me. Kanan became who Kanan needed to be and the best Kanan that we could get in the latter half of Rebels. Like, in that development, I don't know if you can go back and show him as some juvenile, like, Jedi. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if we can get that. That may
like him being attacked and getting away,
I mean,
and us knowing it's him.
Maybe. I mean, you could definitely get a glimpse of something, but like, I don't want anything to tarnish what Kanan's become. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really want to see him at the temple. Yeah.
Was he the broom boy at the end?
Wait, what?
Was he the broom boy? Was he
the broom
sweet
boy of another generation?
Yeah.
He was the broom boy before.
Quite follow, but
he was the broom boy before there was a broom boy. Is what Rob
That's
said.
right.
Fallen janitorial services.
I think he was a little older, right?
I think he is a little.
I mean, A New Dawn. I think that's the title of the canon book about Kanan. You know, just after all that, kind of growing up, he's kind of a dick. Like, he's kind of a drunkard. And meets Hera and stuff, and that's a great story there. I love that they did that because you kind of see how far he's come just between A New Dawn and right at the beginning of Rebels. Like, he's come a long way, but then boy, his end at Rebels, I don't know if I want anything touching that. Why? Why you want to see that, Scotty? Is there anything in particular that you want to see?
I miss him.
See, I just think that's what I'm saying.
I just think like. Because Order 66 was so impactful, and like not for nothing, every new story thing they come out with around it gives us something like that. So like the Kel Kestis and his master sacrificing himself so he could escape. Like, you know, they could do something like that and just kind of show us what set Kanan off on, like, you know, all right, he's got to help Ezra or whatever. It doesn't have to be deep. It really doesn't have to be deep for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of want to do this sometime, but like, I think there's certain characters in Star Wars that we just have to accept that we may never, ever hear or see a thing of. Jyn Erso, one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, simply because of who she became in Rogue One. Never gonna see her again, which is unfortunate because she was fantastic. Never gonna see Felicity Jones reprise that role. Now, granted, I really didn't think Cassian Andor would get its own show either. So I guess I should never say never, but I feel like she's one of those. Kanan may be one of those. I probably would have put Cassian as one of those. I was proven wrong on that one, but like, it sucks too because you kind of wonder, like, I don't know. We want to see these characters again, but like Obi-Wan, like after the series, guys. I mean,
but
I'm not gonna ever see or hear about Obi-Wan ever again. It's like that's
we're gonna
get
hurt. Kestis. We're gonna get Cal.
Kestis,
one more game.
Makes sense. I think we could get a lot more. I think that makes a lot more sense, right? Like,
and I want to know that because this is kind of that time period. This is like when Kenobi. I don't think that they meet. I just want to go on record. I just don't think that kind of goes together. But really, right now, what I really need to know the story of Fallen Order 2 because I think that leading into Kenobi. Whichever happened, Fallen Order 2 is happening before Kenobi, right?
Hmm?
That's
Fallen
it.
2 before Kenobi. That'd be 10 years. I don't know. We know?
No. Well, I mean, it's all after Order 66, so we know Kenobi. You know, he goes past that, but Fallen Order that's the one thing that kind of can take that and add maybe a little backstory and ties into Kenobi and ties into more. I don't think he meets Ahsoka. I don't know, but Siri and him, they've met Vader. So
Yeah.
if Vader knows about them and the Inquisitors know about them, the Empire knows about them, that I gotta say the future of Star Wars, regardless if you want to say canon or EU, I'm gonna say it right now. I want to know that story, and I think that story deserves to be told.
Hashtag the Exquisitors.
That was dope. That was dope. I like the Exquisitors reference. That may be their, you know, that may be who they become later.
That's how you
on.
show them. That's how you show them off.
So Cal Kestis is a way ahead of his time. Like the end of that game, that boy grew up. That guy has a perspective on the future of these Force users that no one has at that time. And it's crazy because he doesn't have a lot of guidance. This is this dude going and dealing with some demons and some temples, figuring some shit out. Like, which was awesome. And we got to live it and play it. He is just ahead of the game. And so I'm like, okay, we're not hunting potential. Okay, where are you going now? I'm fascinated. Like, what's the plan? You're an enlightened dude at this point. You should be probably freaking leading the new Jedi. If I mean, from what we know. So like, what is his plan now? Like, what's the future? We got a fun crew. We've got humor. We've got, you know, some real levity on that crew. Like, it's the makings of a perfect story. Now, where are we going with it? I'm interested. I have no idea. But I love that he's just enlightened. Like, he's got this new perspective that no one has at the time. Like, you make your own destiny. Like, at this time, that is pretty, like, new. That is not a real discussion going on from stuff that we see. So I'm so fascinated with that. Like, what he becomes. Boy.
Dude, how many waves are they causing in Mandalorian? Like, how far out's that ripple gonna go? Like, that they have a dark saber and that they are pushing back. Like, who's gonna come to the call when they find out Grogu's here? Like,
phrasing.
Let's go.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about the Grogu in a while. Grogu. Love that I'm calling him that now. Because I just don't know.
He's all over my house.
I just like, I don't know. After that show, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like we're not going to see him for a while. And I don't have the mental capacity to think about any more than I am right now. Like, I haven't even thought about Grogu. I know. But it's just like, in my eyes, he's in safe hands right now. So it's like, okay, let's focus on the other shit going on in the galaxy so we can process that. And then we're going to get back to the future. And I think Back to the Future. Jesus, another future reference.
I mean, Nettie's in the world between worlds. He could probably
Nettie is capturing one of the biggest moments in Star Wars history behind him, and it's in such slow mo. We don't know if Ezra's making. Is he making the right decision back there, Nettie? Is he pulling her out of there?
How to tell?
Jeez. So yeah, I think after the Bad Batch, I might be ready to talk about Grogu and like where, and well, that would probably have to be actually over after Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think that's probably fair to say. I'm totally down. I can't even speculate on what that looks like because the future in Star Wars in that era is like, we're going back in time so much now. When I thought we were going to the future, and they're like, the Bad Batch, Obi-Wan Kenobi. We'll probably have a freaking Shmi Skywalker prequel. Like, it's like, frick, I thought we were going forward in time, and we're not. So, boy, it was. I mean, that was a real whiplash for me. But that's just my stupid mind.
Do we see Luke and Grogu simultaneously the next time we see either of them?
I don't think so. I don't think you're gonna see Luke Skywalker again either.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out in my head all the time, like how Grogu's gonna come back, like just flying on an X-wing, one X-wing, and it's Grogu.
I think he will. I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be alone. You know, like I don't think he's
gonna be flying casual.
Exactly, like flying solo and flying casually. Like I mean, he's probably going to speak basic at this point, which will be weird. Like, it's going to be an adjustment. Like, you're going to have to get used to probably some, like, Yaddle looking, like, Grogu that speaks a mean basic, and probably has a side part, you know.
Can you imagine
like
having
Luke
to
Skywalker.
create that voice, dude? Can you imagine being the guy that has to create that voice?
I would down to be that guy. I would absolutely take that job. I would. Hello, I'm Grogu, and I'm here to rescue you.
Hey, Disney, if you need a
your
young
short
four-gullet
Jedi.
too,
I am Grogu.
Yeah. I could just, it could be funny. I don't know. I don't even know if they know. I don't know how you can say that, you know, Jon Favreau and maybe Jon Favreau has an idea. I don't think Dave Filoni has any idea where they're going with that story, because they're like, hey, we need you to create some stories about the prequel era, and he's like, Jesus Christ, like, okay, I guess I'll go back in time, like do what I'm good at, I guess, but I don't know if they know. It's got to be something epic though, you know. They're going to be no more just baby doll sales. Like you've tapped that dry, so let's make it interesting.
He could be like, the bounty I claimed, your head it was, and I would just be all
pretty
in.
Good one. You might need to sign Rob up. Somebody have a Lucasfilm executive email that we could email and send that demo to.
Homie's been a baby for 50 years. Like, how much of a time jump do we have to go through here?
See, that's what I'm saying.
We're running out of years.
It might be the distant future, like him and Rey.
Like, yeah, dude. Okay.
Just at that
I'm okay
point,
with that, actually.
He's on the council. Her new council is wizened. Yeah. Like, got some gross, you know, gray hair going on, but parted to the side. None of this slick back shit that Yoda is doing. You know, and I think them on the council would be freaking awesome. I'd be down for that. But it's just two. Just two.
Yoda
they've learned their lessons. Hey. They're like, you know what? The Sith, they were onto something. We should just stay small. Okay, let's do it. Grogu's like, I'm staying small for the rest of my life. He didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that slam on his stature. He didn't. Sorry, Grogu. But yeah, I don't know, guys. Anything else about the Bad Batch? We kind of steered off there, but
Nettie's just over there dying. Like he just put up with
these guys
5 directions at once from us 3.
How many natty lights have these guys drank in this episode? Any other Bad Batch like thoughts? I mean, we've got 3 days. What is it? A Wednesday that we're watching this?
Nope, that's a Tuesday because Wednesday is my birthday. Cinco de Mayo.
Oh shit. Rob is celebrating early. If you haven't heard, he's already cracked open the natty, and guzzling as we speak. I don't think, you know, maybe we should wrap this one up because 2 subjects got us through an hour and a half, which is incredible. So guys, like, we're going to continue to talk about Obi-Wan. Like, if you're sick of it, I'm sorry, then I guess you're not going to be listening to Flying Casual for a while until the series drops, because we're going to be talking about Obi-Wan. You think we've tapped it dry? We're literally just scratching the surface. So let us, you know, have a good time. We'll, you know, kind of lessen our expectations, go into the Bad Batch with an open mind, enjoy it. It's probably be a lot of fun. There'll probably be some jaw-dropping moments. It's going to be great. And then we're going to get back to the Obi-Wan discussions, and I can't freaking wait for it. So in 3 days, guys, well, at this point, you're probably listening, and time has already passed. And are any of our predictions or lack of predictions, have they come to fruition? I don't know. I'm going to say there's going to be an early confrontation and a fallout. That's my prediction. Let's get a final prediction here. Scotty?
Obi-Wan sick montage kicking the shit out of like Asajj, Vader, every Sith he ever faced. Just
wait, in the Bad Batch.
Oh, we're going Bad Batch? You're okay, so there's an Obi-Wan
final prediction.
There's
not
an
Obi-Wan with
natties for you.
That's a bold prediction,
bro,
and unexpected.
Like I said, Bad Batch. I mean,
first episode. I mean, there's got to be a hook. There's got to be something here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Order 66 going down, and I mean, I don't know. I got nothing for Bad Batch.
That's okay, Rob.
I want him to, yeah.
Robert,
No.
a
I'll give
prediction
it
for the
that.
first
Nutty's
episode.
gonna take us home. Like honestly, I think he was on to something with the Order 66, little flashbacks with that. But to catch audience with a first episode that's gonna be this long, you're gonna need a lot of bombs blowing up. You're gonna need a lot of fights. You're gonna need a lot of like moments where you kind of maybe show a little bit of weaknesses from some of the characters.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I think if this happens when Order 66 happens, then we find out where they were, and that I think will go from there. And that's what I got. Like that's how you do it. You sit it there. Maybe it's a flashback at the moment. It leads up to it, and then they kind of sit there around a campfire and they say some stuff, and they get a call. They got their next order, and that's what leads to the bombs bursting.
I mean, I definitely got to see them around a campfire with Saw Gerrera, and I think Saw Gerrera is just like a wizened Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just comes from the fire, a blue flame, and says, "What the hell are you think you're doing?" No, I think you're right. Like that would be they show a little skin in the first episode, right? And then we retract that, we cover up, and then you give us a few Purgle episodes, with some fun stuff. Maybe a song or something from an AP5 character or something, and then maybe things get a little more serious. Nettie, a prediction for the opening episode of the Bad Batch.
Well, before I get into that, I just gotta say, if there's a song, it better be Rekko singing, and we better get Luke's live reaction to that one, because I think he might literally die from laughter.
He's flying through space. His eye is just like not following. Like, oh, it'd be great.
In terms of overall predictions, I don't got too much. Like I said, I don't know fully what to expect. I guess if I gotta throw something out there, it's Tarkin's gonna be a creepy and evil mofo out there. So
absolutely
excited to see that. Yeah,
great point, dude. Tarkin, we're gonna see Tarkin, and just, I mean, we don't get enough of Tarkin. Like Tarkin, Tarkin's just he's got a cool presence, but like, yeah, let's dig into him a little more. Like, he seems like he could be the real villain of this series. The one that's like, okay, these guys are a real threat, and they're not on our side anymore. Okay, we're gonna hunt these these bastards down. Like, we're gonna take them out. I would kind of like to see Tarkin. Maybe he's talking to some bounty hunters, right? Like maybe they don't have the resources to hunt these guys. Okay, let's get in some quick muscle. Let's bring in, Fennec Shan. Let's bring in someone else, maybe Boba Fett, or that'd be kind of cool. But great pull on the Tarkin. Totally forgot he was in the show. But
okay, I do have a legit one.
Okay,
got a legit
not Obi-Wan,
because we already did talk about it, kind of. No,
okay,
we already did talk about it with Omega. So I'll double down and I'll stick to that I feel like DNA, like they're linked. She's either a clone or they're a derivative of her somehow.
Okay. Well, guys, we have a few days till May the 4th. So you're probably listening to this and May 4th has passed. But how do we do? I mean, like some bold predictions here. We're going to see what happens. I just hope we all enjoy it. I hope it's just a fun time. And as we've seen with Clone Wars and Rebels, it could be fun. Sometimes it get dark and really meaningful, and most important, we want to be a good lesson for our youth and to find some messages in there and lead them on a good path and a good destiny. So we always know that Star Wars is going to bring that. So looking forward to that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this 16th installment with our smaller council, but one of the best. I think this was a fantastic discussion with Nettie, Rob, and Scotty. I thought we brought the pain, as Rob likes to say. So this was fantastic. I'll go ahead and apologize for the 15th time again of my Obi-Wan gushing, but boy, I'm looking forward to that series. And like I said, if you don't want to hear about it, why, you better tune out to Flying Casual for a while. Or maybe you already did. Who knows? We'll find out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. We will be back with an episode shortly. And as always, folks, may the Force be with you.